Primary day in Illinois, the party of Lincoln in the land of Lincoln. But it's no longer such a good fit for Republicans. The purging of the center right has meant the Republican Party has essentially ceded Illinois, once one of their Midwest strongholds, to the Democratic Party. It's now the seventh most leaning Democratic state in the nation, of course, home to President Barack Obama. Today, some polls show Mitt Romney up as many as 14 points. But polls have a tendency to undercount Rick Santorum, and the vast majority of conservative voters live in the southern part of the state, well outside of Chicago and the suburbs where Romney is expected to do well. But here's the big picture. Already today on the drive into work, I hear folks on the radio essentially calling it over. We've heard this drumbeat over and over again ever since Mitt Romney won New Hampshire and people thought that he'd won Iowa as well. And every time he gets called the inevitable nominee, voters come in with a different opinion. Here are the facts, folks. This is not about who's ahead in the delegate race. It's about who can clinch 1,144 delegates first. So there are a lot of commentators out who end up replicating Team Romney's spin, saying because he's got a commanding lead in the delegates, this is all but done. That ignores the basic facts of this race. This year is different because of proportional delegates and because of super PACs. The things that have forced candidates out of the race in the past, now they have endless money and they can make a case with delegates. Even Team Romney acknowledges that it'll take them at least till June at this point to get the requisite number of delegates. Romney aside, you've got Ron Paul, Newt Gingrich, and Rick Santorum all saying they're staying in this race and there's nothing to force them out. Still, despite Romney's overwhelming 5-to-1 spending advantage to date, over 60% of Republican voters have voted for someone else in this process, despite an objectively weak field. So let's stop trying to call this for Romney. Let's let all the states vote until he's able to reach 1,144 or not, in which case we go to the convention. It's not about being for Romney or against Romney. It's not about thinking whether he'd be the best nominee or the worst nominee. It's about letting the process play out and letting Republican primary voters all have their say. Don't change the rules of the game once it's begun. So this is far from inevitable, folks. Let's see what happens in Illinois tonight. But just as after New Hampshire and Florida and Nevada, don't listen to those folks who tell you it's all but over. Pay attention to the right metric. That's delegate math, not who's ahead, but who hits 1144 first.